Muse for you, awesome websites without code.
Hey, what's up, Musers? John with Muse for you, here to help you build awesome websites without... Alright, take two. Hey, what's up, Musers? John with Muse for you, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And in this video, we're going to recreate this summer header. So this is just to give you some ideas for your own project and to go over some of the main points within Adobe Muse. We're also going to be using a few widgets from museforyoushop.com. Here we have the summer has arrived text, and we're using the image text, so there's an image filling the text, so there's a bit more texture to it. And at first, this image here with the lady in the hat and the water, it just looks like an image, but if you hover over it, we have the water ripple effect. And I thought this was fitting for this image because there's water in the image, and I also associate water with summer, going to the beach or to a pool. So I thought this effect was fitting for this image. I would use this effect sparingly. I wouldn't use it a lot throughout the website, as it could get a little bit too much if a user's trying to navigate the website and kind of just read information. You don't want, all these ripples all the time. So yeah, this is the header. We are going to be working with a 1600 width breakpoint. I will touch upon what I would do if I were to design for tablet and mobile, but this header is for larger screens. For tablet and mobile, I would just rearrange things and things like that. So we're going to recreate this header, and all the asset files for this header will be in the description area below. So you can follow along with me and build this header yourself and get some practice working with Adobe Muse. So let's get started creating the summer header. So here I'm in Adobe Muse. This is what it looks like in Adobe Muse. I'll just go to File, New Site. And for the new site, I'm going to start the breakpoint at 1600. So this is a Google Resizer value. If you want to learn more about breakpoints and the different values that you can add, you can check out my 17-day course where I go through the different values that I like to use for breakpoints. You could use those values, or you could just add breakpoints when the website breaks. There's a few different schools of thoughts, but in my course, I use predetermined values to take out the guesswork and to help you get started with Adobe Muse. So I'll start with a 1600 width breakpoint, and here I'll double click on the home page. So I'll double click, and I have all the values written down here. I might include it in the asset files, but if you follow along with this video, you can just follow the different values that I use for the website. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add the rectangle. So here we can see we're at a 1600 breakpoint. If I zoom in, the width of the website is 1600. I could use the page expansion if I wanted the website to expand beyond 1600 pixels in width. All right, so here we have the site. The first thing I'm going to do is create a rectangle. So I'll go to the rectangle tool, select the rectangle, and just create a rectangle that's 1258 pixels in width. So I'm actually going to use the transform tool here. I have the transform and the text panel on the left because I use those quite a lot. So it's easy for me to access them if I have them on the left, kind of separate from all the other panels. But you can access it there, or in the upper control bar. You can also work with the X and Y coordinate and the width and height. All right, so I'll go to the transform panel. The width of this rectangle, I want it to be 1258 pixels in width, and the height, I want it to be 800. Okay, and just like that, we have the rectangle, and I want to fill this rectangle with that image of the water and the lady with the hat. So I'll go to the fill option here in the upper control bar. I'll click on add image, and then here I have the image. It's called image 1. And then I'm going to scale to fill. So in the fitting section, I'm going to say scale to fill and position it in the center. So just like that, we have the image. We're not going to apply the effect just yet. So that's all we have to do there. And then on the X position, it's at 20, and the Y, it's at 109. So I'm just being exact here because I've written down all the coordinates for the different elements on the website. Okay, so now I want to add the summer has arrived text that's going vertically down the page. So I'll go into Muse, and I'll go to the library panel here to the right. If you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library. Okay, and then here I'll type in the library panel, I'll type in image text, and I'll bring in the image text widget. So here I'll click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse, and I'll open the widget options. So for select an image, I'll click add file, and I'll select image 2 here for the image. Then I'll work with the text. So for the paragraph tag, I'm going to leave it at an H1. You can work with this. If you don't think that text is the headline, then you can change it to any paragraph tag. You can choose from H1 through H6 or a paragraph, which is a P tag. I do recommend reading up on the H1 through H6 tags, or the different paragraph tags that you can add to text on your website, as that determines what's the most important topic on your website. All right, so here I'm going to type in summer has arrived, just like that. The font size, I'm going to set it to 3.5. The font size is in M's, so 1 M equals 16 pixels. All right, and for the font weight, we'll leave it at none. The letter spacing, we're going to say 10. The line height, we'll leave it at 1. The text transform, we're going to say uppercase, so we're going to have all the letters be uppercase, and the text align, will align it to the left. Okay, so those are the options there. And then for the IE fallback, Internet Explorer browsers do not support text with an image fill, so you can select a color and it will use that color instead for Internet Explorer browsers. For now, I'll just leave it at the dark blue. Okay, so there we have it. Summer has arrived. I think it moved this image down a bit. Oh no, it didn't. So we're all good there. Or it actually made this image larger because the widget was inside the image, so it kind of made the image taller. So let's just click on the image and go into the height and change it to 800. So these are things just to be aware of as you're working on the site. If you find that different elements are affecting other elements, you'll just want to be aware of that and change the width and height if necessary. Okay, so here we have summer has arrived. The widget container is too small, so we have to widen it so the text fits within the entire widget container, just like that. All right, so we have summer has arrived, and the font type for this text is Roboto Black. So here I can just click in the widget, or click on the widget. I'll go to the text panel and I'll select, here we go, I'll select Roboto Black. And so there we have it. It's a typekit font. And just like that, our text has changed. I'll change the height of the widget container just by dragging up. And there we have the text. Again, because the widget's on the image, it changed the height of the image. So we'll just go back in here and change the height to 800. So I should probably work with this widget outside, like somewhere around here, so it doesn't affect the image, but they're kind of overlapping. So it's affecting this widget as it gets taller or shorter, affects the image here. So I'm just changing it in the transform panel. All right, so now that I have the text summer has arrived, I want to rotate it so that it's vertical. So here, I'll just grab a corner of the widget container until it becomes a circular arrow. Then hold down shift and just rotate -90 degrees. So just drag the mouse to the left and rotate it till it's vertical. And I'm going to add some guides here so that I can align the text with the top of the image. So I'll just grab the ruler right up here, click the ruler here, click, hold, and drag until I get a guide that goes right on top of the image. Okay, and then I'm going to place the summer has arrived flush with that top line so that the image and the start of the text are perfectly aligned horizontally with each other. Okay, and then on the x-axis, this text here, the summer has arrived text, is at 1413. So 1413. The y is going to be the same as the image, which is 109. And basically that's it. So we have the text there. Let me zoom out a bit. We have summer has arrived. Now let's move on to the summer 2017 text with this vertical line here. So I'll go back into Muse. I'll go to the text panel right here. I'll create a text box. Let me zoom in here. And for the text, I'll type in summer 2017. I'll highlight the text. And the text is Roboto Medium. So right in here, select Roboto Medium. The size is 24. The color is B0, 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 and text align is left, text transform is uppercase, and the tracking, I believe, is 2 pixels. All right, so it's a little bit more spaced out. There we go. And I'll just make this text box a little bit smaller here. And now I want to rotate this as well. So I'll grab a corner until I get that circular arrow, hold down shift, and drag to the left until it's -90 degrees. And now that text is vertical. And here I'll align it flush with that guide that I created. And on the x-axis, it's at, let's see here, summer 2017. It is at 1537. All right, perfect. So there we have the text. And now we want to add that line below the summer 2017. So I'll just select the rectangle tool, create a rectangle, and then for the width, it's 1 pixel. Yeah, 1 pixel, and the height is 600. So if you find that the width and the height change together, you just want to make sure that this this chain icon or link icon is not like this, which means that it constrains the width and height. So if you change the width, the height will change. If it's not linked like that, then if you change the width, it won't change the height, and vice versa. Okay, so there we have that. We have the line, and so it's right here. We can see, oh, we have to change the color here. So I'll go to the fill. So the color is B0, 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 and there we have the line. And let's just align it on the X. So on the X it's at 1521, and on the Y it's at 311. Okay, perfect, and that looks good. It looks nice relative to the summer 2017 text. All right, so let's preview in the browser and see how it's looking. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and just like that, we have the heading. So if I resize the browser, let's say, for smaller screens that are not as large as 1600 pixels in width, if I resize, we can see things don't look great. So what I like to do for my elements is set the responsiveness to none, unless I know that it looks good if it's responsive width or height. And for this text, the summer has arrived in the summer 2017, I can pin it to the right side of the browser. So as the right side of the browser goes in, these elements stay relative to the right side and they don't change their position. So I'll show an example so it makes a bit more sense. So I'm going to select both of these elements, and for the resize option, I'm going to say none, and I'm going to pin them both to the right side of the browser. So this is the responsive pinning, the pin to page, so they're pinned to the right side of the browser. And we can see we have these dotted lines, which is saying, okay, this element is going to stay this distance from the right side, as even if the browser changes size, it's going to stay relative to the right side. And the same with the widget, it's pinned to the right side of the browser. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and as I resize the browser, we can see those elements stay relative to the right side. They're not changing size because there's no, the responsiveness is set to none, and they're relative to the right side of the browser. So you can picture an imaginary line, and that makes the elements stay in their exact position even as the browser resizes. And the image is set to responsive width, which I don't mind, because right about here it still looks okay. So if I look at what width that is, we can see the width is at 1077. So around the 1280 breakpoint, yeah, I would add a breakpoint around the 1280 because it might get a little bit too tight. And then I would just rearrange the element. So I might, make the image smaller, align the text below the image, and just change the design a bit for smaller width screens, or smaller screens. So that's just a little tip there. I do go over responsive pinning a lot in my 17-day course. It can really help when designing for different width devices. All right, so we see it stays relative to the right, it doesn't break, and the line stays relative to the summer 2017. And again, I know I repeated this a lot. It's because we set the responsive pinning to the right side of the browser. Okay, so there we go. Now the next thing, let's go back in here. So we added this. Let's add these two rectangles. There's a gray rectangle, and we have this rectangle here with some text that says "Love the heat of the sun" and some lorem ipsum text. So for that, let's just go to the rectangle tool, and I'll create a rectangle. So this rectangle is 594 pixels in width, and the height is 282. All right, and then the color for this is F2, 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 and that looks good. On the x-axis, it's at 870, and on the y-axis, it's at 280. All right, looks good. And I'm not going to pin this quite yet. I'm going to see how it looks without the pinning. And it also has a shadow. So with the rectangle selected, I'll go to Effects. I'll click on Shadow, and the shadow color is black. The percentage is 5%. The blur is 22. The angle is 90, and the distance is 13. So 90 and 13. All right, so there we have the rectangle. And I want to place this rectangle behind, or let's see, yeah, behind the image and basically behind everything. So I'll just right click, arrange, and send to back. Okay, there we have the rectangle. And let me change the X position again. So I'll say 870, and there we go. So we have that rectangle, looks good. And then I'll just copy and paste this rectangle. So I'll hit Command C to copy and then Command V to paste. And I'll place it right below that rectangle we created, and I'll change the fill to white. All right, so we have a gray rectangle and a white rectangle. And this rectangle, I want it to be in front of the image, but I want this summer has arrived to be in front. So I'll click on the widget, I'll right click, arrange, and I'll say bring to front. And perfect, I think that's how that goes. Yep, so this gray rectangle goes behind everything, and this white rectangle goes above the image and behind the summer has arrived image text. All right, so now let's just add the text in there. So I'll go to the text panel. I'll create a text box, and I'll say love the heat of the sun. So love, yeah, right in here, love the heat of the sun. All right, so for this, let's go to the text panel. It's Roboto Medium, and the font size is 35 pixels. And on the X, I'm just gonna eyeball it for that. The letter spacing or tracking is 4 pixels, and I think that's it. So I'll go back in here, and there it is. So I'll just place it right in here, and I do have the exact coordinates, so I'll just enter them in. So it's 898. Which was really close to where I had it, and 604. Not sure if that's gonna work. Yeah, no, so let me just bring that down there. Okay, so yeah, I'll just eyeball it, and there we go. Oops, okay. So now the lorem ipsum text, I'm just gonna grab it from here, just gonna kind of a little shortcut to save some time, just copying it from the one I've already created and just pasting in there, and then I'm just gonna align it below here. All right, and let me take off the responsive pinning. Cool, so let's see how this looks. Let's zoom out, I'll preview in the browser, and let's see, so if I resize, all right, yeah, I'm okay with the rectangles not being pinned to the right because it looks okay. Yeah, around here, I would probably add another breakpoint. And even having the text be responsive is kind of okay, because if you see love the heat of the sun, as the browser gets smaller, it kind of goes underneath and it doesn't kind of crash into the image text widget. So I'm okay with that. That looks good. Then right around here, I'd add another breakpoint and just rearrange the elements and kind of change the design a bit. Okay, so that's basically it. The last thing I'll do is I'll go to the master page. I'm not going to recreate the entire menu just to save some time for this video. In the Spring header, I showcase how to add a menu. So I'll leave a link in the description area below to that, just to save some time for this video. So I'll go to the master page now. So yeah, I went to the plan view, double click on the master page, and I'll add the logo. So I have the logo PNG, click, hold, and drag, place right in there. And I'll pin it to the left. I'll responsive pin to the left. I'm not gonna have it fixed because I don't have a fixed menu right now. So if you did want to pin it to the browser, you could use the pin to browser and pin it to the upper right. Right now I'm just going to pin it to the left of the browser, so as the browser goes in from the left, that element stays relative to the left side of the browser. Okay, and if you did want to add a menu, you could just go to Object, insert Widget, and then Menu, and select Horizontal, and then click. And then for this, for menu type, you can select Manual. If you select top level pages, it's going to look for the top level pages on your website, and it's going to use those page names to populate the menu. I'm going to do it manual, so I can just add menu items myself. So you just click once, then click again, and you'll see a plus symbol. Just click to the right to add a menu item, or to the left or below if you wanted to add sub menu items. All right, so there we go. Yeah, so we'll do 5 menu items, and I'll just place it here to the right, and I'll responsive pin to the right, so it stays relative to the right side of the browser. All right, I'm not going to style it. Again, I'll leave a link in the description area below to the Spring header, where I go over how to add a menu or style a menu in Adobe Muse. All right, so just like that, we have the summer header. So I'll preview one last time. The menu's not going to look good, but it's okay. So there we have it. And the menu is responsive, so I don't want the menu to be responsive. So I'll just select the menu, go to the resize option, say none. And the same for the logo. Here, I'll just go to the left, resize, I'll say none. I like to not have my elements be responsive. That can get really messy. It does depend. If you do have, a lot of images and you want them to be responsive in width and height, you can do that. Just set the resize option to responsive width and height. For different designs, responsive width and height could work beautifully. For me, I just like, not having things move too much and just changing the layout when the website breaks, basically. All right, so let's preview. And there we go. So looks good. So right around here, I'd add a breakpoint. So let me use the window resizer. I have a quick tip on that, on the window resizer. So yeah, around the 1280, I would add another breakpoint, maybe even further. But yeah, right around here. So if I go to the breakpoints bar, add breakpoint, I'll say 1280. Yeah, 1280, and click OK. So that still looks pretty good. I could move this to the right a little bit, and yeah, I'm okay with that. That looks good. So yeah, and then I'll preview. And there we go. So we see that the image is responsive in width. So the image is changing size as the browser resizes. One thing we didn't do is add the effect, which is kind of an important part. So I'll go to the library panel here to the right, and I'll type in water ripple. So I'll bring in the water ripple effect, add first. I'll click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse, and then I'll bring in the water ripple effect graphic style. So here I'll click, hold, and drag, place right in there. And yeah, so here in the graphic style name, we can see it says Ripple 1. So this is the graphic style name I want to apply to the image. So here I'll click on the image, I'll go to the graphic styles panel, I'll click on this icon here, kind of looks like a piece of paper. I'll double click on style, it opens the graphic style options, the dialog box, and here I'll type in Ripple 1 because that's the graphic style name that is in the widget. So now this image has the graphic style name Ripple 1, so these widget properties will be applied to the image. So I'll preview, and let me make this a bit wider, and we can see it has the ripples. Looks good. So I'll set the resolution of the ripples to a bit higher so it looks really smooth. You'll just want to be a bit careful, because if a user doesn't have a good graphics card, then the ripples won't propagate that nicely. It might look a little bit slow. But here, if you set the resolution to higher, you have really smooth water ripples, and I really like that. All right, so that is the summer header. The last thing I'll do is add the font smoother, because I like really smooth fonts. And here we go, font smoother light. And the font smoother only works with web fonts, not system fonts. And I do recommend using web fonts on the site, not system fonts. System fonts are just images or text as images, and search engines can't read text within images. So I do recommend web fonts because it could help, ranking if you're trying to rank in the search engines. The search engines can read the text on the site and see if it's relevant to a particular topic. Okay, so I'll preview, and that should do it. So there we have the summer header, and perfect. Looks good. If I hover over the image, we have the water ripples, and then, you know, on different breakpoints, right around here when it gets like for tablet and mobile devices, I'd probably remove the water ripple effect and just align the text horizontally and just kind of change the design a bit so that it's a nice experience for users on tablet and mobile devices. But on desktop, you can get away with, you know, nice effects and kind of enhancing the user experience with different widgets and things like that. I will be creating a video tutorial on graceful degradation versus progressive enhancement, or mobile first. I am leaning towards a mobile first approach because I do find that a lot of Adobe Muse users are using quite a few widgets, and I think you should really keep it simple on mobile. So starting with a mobile first approach, you can start with no widgets, just, you know, make it a really great user experience for anyone on a small device. You do want to work with typography a lot with mobile devices so that it's easy to read. So the user has an easier time reading the text on the mobile device. And then as the width of the device gets larger, you can enhance it with, you know, different effects. On tablet, I'd keep it simple as well. And then when you get into desktop screens or larger screens, you can enhance the site with, you know, different widgets, different effects to give a really cool experience for the user. So that's it for the summer header. I know this video is a bit long, and I kind of went over the responsive pinning maybe too much, but I think it's a really useful tool because I think a lot of designers might run into the issue of, you know, how do I get elements to stay where I want them? Like, let's say they design the website before developing, and the site, you know, is a bit wider or thinner, and they're wondering, how can I get elements to stay relative to the left side of the browser without affecting the design too much? And responsive pinning is a great tool for that. It just places elements relative to the left, center, or right side of the browser. So when the browser size changes, those elements stay relative to that side or in the center. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, let me know. But yeah, that's basically it. That's the summer header. The widgets we used were from museforyoushop.com, so you can go to museforyoushop.com. And then here you can click on Join Today. And here you can click Subscribe Now to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. And here we have the water ripple effect, and we have the image text widget as well. Here you can click Add to Cart to purchase individually, or again, you can click Subscribe Now to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. The font smoother is also on the widget page. So that's it for this video tutorial. I'll leave the assets in the description area below so you can build this yourself. Also in the description area below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.
Muse for You, awesome websites without code.